Hello, my name is Chad Williams. I've been with VPD since 2001. I'm currently a lieutenant assigned to the Administrative Bureau, which oversees our training unit and our evidence facility. I'm here to talk to you today about our less lethal options. Currently, VPD uses these less lethal tools. Oleoresin capsicum, commonly referred to as pepper spray or OC, the electronic control weapon, or ECW, commonly referred to as a taser, a baton, which can either be collapsible or non-collapsible, and the 40mm less lethal launcher, which deploys blunt impact projectiles, or BIP rounds. Oleoresin capsicum, or OC, is derived from the oily extract of pepper plants and is an inflammatory agent. OC can inflame the mucous membranes of the eyes, nose, throat, and lungs, which in turn can cause a closing of the eyes, difficulty breathing, runny nose, and coughing. The duration of the effects depends on the strength of the spray, the amount of spray that meets a person, and the person sprayed, but typically lasts anywhere from 20 to 90 minutes. There's a problem with OC when it comes to overspray because not only can OC affect the person we intend to use it upon, but can also affect bystanders and police officers. Additionally, OC can be problematic inside a building with a large HVAC system because the spray can travel from the intended target to other people in the building through the vents. When used outdoors, wind can also alter where the spray goes and how effective it is. Another potential problem with OC is that police officers don't typically know a suspect's medical condition prior to contact, so we have no idea if they have prior respiratory problems. Recently, the Washington State Police Academy changed course and will no longer be initially training and exposing recruit officers to OC. That job now falls on the VPD training unit, as does refresher training. The electronic control weapon, or ECW, is a general term given to tools that refer to any handheld weapon that produces and discharges electrical energy that is designed to temporarily capture and/or control a person. VPD uses the brand Taser and the model X26. VPD was an early adopter of this technology and has been using it since 2003. Tasers work on the principle of neuromuscular incapacitation, or NMI. NMI occurs when a taser device is able to cause involuntary stimulation of both the sensory nerves and the motor nerves, which may interfere with the suspect's ability to utilize the affected muscles. It is not dependent on pain and can be effective on subjects with a high level of pain tolerance. NMI requires 2 points of electrical contact plus a completed and maintained circuit. Electricity needs one place to flow in and another to flow back out. When the taser achieves NMI, a person's muscles between the probes lock up and can help officers control a resistive or assaultive suspect. Unfortunately, the taser has several downsides. The effective range is well within 20 feet, which could require an officer to approach a resistive, armed suspect to use it, thereby violating one of the tenets of de-escalation, which is providing distance. Additionally, we live in part of the country where the weather is cold during much of the year. This causes people to wear layered or heavy clothing, which can prevent the taser darts from contacting skin and completing a circuit. VPD's effective rate on taser deployments is below 50%. The taser is still a valuable tool in certain circumstances, but practically speaking, it has a higher chance of failure than success. All patrol officers, neighborhood response team, Safe Streets Task Force, DECU, DV, Traffic, U.S. Marshals Task Force, and neighborhood police officers are issued tasers and are required to carry them while on duty. The training unit provides initial certification and yearly recertification. VPD officers have the option of carrying 2 different kinds of batons. Whichever one they choose is carried on their duty belt. The first one I'll talk about is the collapsible baton. This type of baton is lightweight and easy to carry because it collapses upon itself to minimize its length for daily carry. The baton can be expanded when needed. The disadvantages of this baton are that it's lightweight and hollow, so they aren't highly effective on resistive or assaultive people. Additionally, they can be hard to expand and can get stuck in the closed position, preventing them from being useful when needed. The second type of baton is the non-collapsible style. These are made of wood and are more effective due to their weight and construction, but are hard to carry when getting in and out of a car or running. This is the 40mm less lethal launcher. It fires a 40mm blunt impact projectile, or BIP round, which I'll cover in a minute. The 40mm less lethal launcher has an advantage as a less lethal tool because it allows officers the ability in certain situations, like when a person is armed with a non-firearm type weapon, to stand away from the suspect while using it. This tool can provide officers time and distance to attempt de-escalation techniques with the suspect prior to using force. In short, the platform allows officers to stand away from a suspect while delivering an accurate, reliable, less lethal projectile. In addition to the initial costs for the launchers, which are around $2,500 each, there are ongoing costs associated with the projectiles needed for initial and ongoing training. The initial qualification requires 13 rounds, which costs approximately $325 per student, and yearly required refresher training requires 10 rounds, which adds up to about $250 per person. The BIP round flattens upon impact, turning it into sort of a gel pancake. This flattening spreads the impact out over a slightly larger diameter. This flattening of the projectile also minimizes ricochet, which can prevent the round from hitting uninvolved people or property. Ricochet with other 40mm rounds can occur whether or not the intended target was initially hit with the round. This round is not always effective because it basically delivers a punch from distance. Some suspects are immobilized by the projectile, while others show no response after being hit. This is the reason police officers don't use a 40mm less lethal round against a person who is armed with a firearm. The ability of the suspect to deliver lethal rounds at the public or at a police officer, coupled with the unknown effectiveness of the 40mm round, makes it so police must address a lethal firearm threat with lethal force. The effective range of this projectile is approximately 27 meters. The Vancouver Police Department Training Unit recently tested the Oleoresin, which is a handheld remote restraint device that discharges an 8-foot bola-style Kevlar tether to wrap a subject's legs or arms at an effective range of 10 to 25 feet. Each tether has a 4-pronged hook on either end, which catches the Kevlar wrap to encircle the person. The tether and its hooks are contained in the cartridge, and each cartridge contains and is powered by a partial charge 380 blank. During initial testing and evaluation, the Oleoresin did not work like advertised. Further discussion is needed on whether we continue forward with the testing and evaluation process. There are additional less lethal tools available to law enforcement which are not in use by VPD. One of these tools is a beanbag shotgun. This shotgun fires less lethal beanbag rounds, which are much smaller than the 40mm rounds we currently use, but have a similar intent. This platform is similar to a regular patrol shotgun, which means that many officers are familiar with how it functions. Unfortunately, the beanbags are not stable in flight, so they are not as accurate as the 40mm BIP rounds we use. Additionally, even though these shotguns are a different color, they can fire lethal rounds, so there's always the potential that someone mistakenly loads a lethal round into the shotgun and fires it in a situation calling for a non-lethal round. In our assessment, we accomplished the same deployment intent in a safer manner with our 40mm launchers and BIP rounds. Another less lethal tool used by some law enforcement agencies is the pepper ball launcher. These delivery systems can launch round pepper balls for short-range engagements or rifled rounds for longer distance engagements. The round projectiles are the two pictured on the left of the screen, and the rifled rounds are the two on the right. These projectiles can be purchased with different payloads, including OC, inert, marking, or water-filled. The advantage of this system is that it's built like a standard patrol rifle, so it's familiar to many police officers. As far as disadvantages with this system go, the round balls are not entirely accurate because they are not rifled, meaning they don't spin in a prescribed fashion as they move through the barrel of the weapon. A tightly spinning projectile is more accurate. Think about a football. A tight spiral goes further and is more accurate than a football thrown with a wobble. Because of this, the round can drift from the intended target, which can be problematic. Additionally, their impact area is not spread out like the 40mm rounds, so they can cause a more penetrating injury to the suspect. Because the OC payload is minute and not delivered to the eyes or nose like typical OC spray, the chances of incapacitation are slightly reduced. Due to wind, the OC may also affect others or uninvolved people as well. VPD has not tested or evaluated these platforms. The reality is, there's no magic tool that can take a person into custody 100% of the time with no injury to the suspect or officer. VPD will continue to test and evaluate less lethal options as new technology becomes available. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about our less lethal options and for the opportunity for me to discuss these tools with you and the task force. I will be in attendance at the June task force meeting to answer any questions on this presentation. If you think of questions prior to that meeting, please forward them to me at my email address in the lower right corner of this slide so I can research and be prepared to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.